Hi, welcome to Salt and Burn This. I'm Sammy.
And I'm Valerie.
And this is our Supernatural Rewatch podcast.
Each week, we're going to break down an episode in order with lots of details, so nothing's left out.
And we throw in some personal nuggets and stories and research to mix it up just a little bit.
Because not only are we fans of the show, but like Sam and Dean, we've also had our fill of road trips.
Yeah, but for theater, not for hunting ghosts and demons.
And not in a super sexy muscle car.
Anyway, shall we?
We shall. Cold here today. Well, by cold, I mean, 60s.
Yeah. Yeah, we've started the fireplace the past couple of nights.
Yep.
Which is fine because I was recently in Arizona. I was in Phoenix only for like 2 or 3 days. One of those days was 117 degrees. Yeah.
Oh my God.
At the end of September, which, okay, I know it's hot in Phoenix, but in September, it should not be 117 degrees.
Right?
And for all of those people saying, all those people, oh, it's a dry heat. No, it's still fucking hot. When it's 117
when
degrees.
It burns your lungs.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
That's insane. So I have, even though I hate to say it, Misha is not in this episode.
Yeah.
Right. There's no Castiel, but Misha Collins, I have a small beef with. Okay. 2 small beefs. One is the other day I had some kale and I was like, you know what? I needed to get rid of it, but I didn't want to throw it away, So I thought I would like try some kale chips because Misha was all into that, how to cook for, people want to eat healthier, right? I've never spit food out before. That was so bad. Oh my God. Not only did my apartment smell for days because I tried to do just like kale chips in the air fryer or whatever. I literally had to spin around and spit into the sink. It was so bad. And I stood in the kitchen like cursing his name because it was like crunchy, flaky kale in my teeth. Oh God. I was like, thank you, Misha Collins. And then my second beef with him is this weekend was SuperCon.
I know. I totally lost track of when it was, and it was October because I knew we were going to go, and then
that's okay. Things got busy.
Things happened, yeah.
Yes, but I started seeing posts from him, and he was jogging in my neighborhood.
Oh,
did I see him? Did he stop by? No.
Did you go chase after him?
I wouldn't put it past me, honestly. But no. So, and I only saw based on his pictures,
right.
I could, figure out where he was. But so, right. Misha, next time,
drop by and say hi.
Yeah, and show me how to make freaking kale chips that don't gag me. So,
I could have sworn that you've had kale chips before because you were on a kale kick for a while.
Yes. I'm trying to put it back into my world just because I'm incredibly unhealthy right now. Oh, it's not because I enjoy it. Kale, yes. Kale chips, unless it's like smothered in salt and all I'm doing is like eating salt that's peppered with kale.
Right.
Maybe.
Did you know that spinach has just about the same amount of like calcium? The minerals or whatever it is that people were like, oh, kale's so good for you because of this. But spinach has basically the same amount, and it tastes way better.
Way better.
So just a PSA for everybody out there. If you're like struggling to eat kale, you don't have to.
Yes. Yes. In fact, if you were to open my freezer, there is nothing but spinach now.
Yeah.
And no kale.
Good for you. Good for you. I am totally team anti-kale. Sorry, kale.
Sorry,
I
kale.
I tried, but you know what? There's just so many more delicious greens out there.
Yep.
Chard.
Leave it as a garnish. You know, if you need to put your chicken salad on it as a display, do that.
Yeah.
Don't eat it.
Don't eat it. Leave it in the ground. Okay.
All right. Too bad Misha's not in this episode. I could have.
Yeah.
I could have tainted this episode with my anger right now. I love you, Misha. Thank you.
Yes, we do love you. Season 5, Episode 7, The Curious Case of Dean Winchester. Your money or your life? Gamblers ante up the ladder when they play poker with a witch. Hoping to get out of his wheelchair, Bobby bets 25 years, loses, and starts to age. Fast. Dean tries to win the years back and winds up a grumpy old man. Teleplay and story by Sarah Gamble and Jenny Klein, and directed by Robert Singer.
Wow. My first thought is, in general, I liked this episode, but there's a part of it that I don't know why just irked me. So I had this
I wonder if it's the same, because I had a couple moments like this. I was like, why?
Yeah. And it kind of colored the episode for me.
There were parts like this. I was a little shocked actually to see that Sarah Gamble was one of the writers on this, because she usually has strong episodes. This was not her strongest, although there is a message in it that hit me kind of hard in a good way. Like, ooh, that got me right in the gut where it should. But I wish there was a little bit more of that.
Indeed. There was some great emotional moments in this episode, which I really enjoyed, especially since the biggest one came from the monster of the week. It actually came from the witches themselves.
I cried both times that I watched this. At first I thought, I was like, am I just in the emotional part of my cycle right now where I'm crying at everything? But no, when I just watched it this morning, I was like, no, but it's real. It's real feelings.
That was true and honest and heartbreaking. And it was just one of those, like, it's, for me, my mind went to, I wish that for me. I wish that connection for me in life. And it's like, this is what people should be when they're with somebody, when they're in a relationship. This is what their connections should be.
Or ending the relationship, it should always go that smoothly.
Yes, exactly.
Spoiler alert, but whatever.
Because, but because they had that relationship that ended the way it did. So it was really beautiful. And the fact that it was the monsters, having that moment, I was just like, that's really great. That's really great.
Okay, so I paused my Netflix subscription, so I watched this on the DVD. On the DVD, there was no recap. Was there a recap?
There was no recap.
Okay. I wasn't sure if the DVD doesn't do those because of whatever reason.
There was, I literally can't see it, but in no recap.
Surprise.
No recap, but there was a lot of pop culture in this episode, a lot more than I thought about. There was Obama, John McCain, Star Wars, Mission Impossible, Titanic, World Poker Tour, Grumpy Old Men. There's Xbox. Of course, Benjamin Button. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which I haven't watched that movie, but just seeing weird images of Brad Pitt in different it just really weirded me out, so I don't think I will watch it.
There are parts of it that are weird, but it is
is it good?
It is good.
Okay. I'm just kind of weirded out by it. I don't know why.
No, you should be weirded out by it.
Okay.
As we have no recap now, there's a tabloid that proclaims the apocalypse is here, just in case we forgot that the apocalypse was happening, because this episode is not apocalypse related. Just throwing it in there. woman's reading this tabloid on the sofa. Her husband comes home and rushes up the stairs, and she's like, all right, weirdo. And as he's in the bathroom, we see in the mirror a very rapid aging process start to take place. Like hair falling out before our eyes. His eyes are getting cataracts.
The skin going crinkly and darkening.
Yep. And then
he grabs his arm, his left arm, which is the international sign for heart attack.
Yes.
And boom.
Yeah, and literally boom. And then when the wife comes upstairs, she gives a fantastic blood-curdling scream, and off we go.
Yes, gotta love a good scream. I would love to like peek into auditions when they're like, we actually need to hear you scream.
Yes.
Yes, title splash. So now we see Sam and Dean back in the suits.
Back in the morgue.
Yep, showing their badges. And these are, I think, repeat aliases.
I tried to pause and I couldn't get a clear image. Did you catch their names?
It's Sam is Bachman and Dean is Buckner. So Bachman from BTO and Buckner from the Red Sox, Billy Buckner. They use these in Free to Be Like You and Me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's when Sam was burning all of his IDs and stuff in the sink.
Yeah.
That was the one that he burned. Oh, they also used them in season 3 in Malleus Malefica.
Oh, the other witch one.
The other witch episode.
Oh. Yeah. And I liked this little twist of the morgue director or whatever. You know, of really, you expect me to believe this because you're actually on time?
I'm not waiting days and days for you.
Yeah, that was cute. Yeah, a nice little bureaucracy dig there.
Yep.
Here's the Obama reference of the change you can believe in.
Yes. So this guy who's in the morgue, what's his name? Chuck? Chuck Xavier?
I didn't catch really anybody's name.
But he was born in 1984, but he died of old age.
Yes. So at the time of this airing of the episode, he was, what, 25? 25 years old?
Yep.
So, okay.
That's odd.
Very. And they call Bobby. Bobby makes an appearance in this episode. Finally. He confirms, this is weird. So maybe you should check out those missing persons that are also in the town, just to be sure.
Just in case. And Bobby is especially still grouchy.
Yes.
And still in a wheelchair and still not happy about being in a wheelchair.
Still weeping in his Haagen-Dazs.
Yes.
Sarcastically, but I don't know, that made me chuckle.
Yeah, it's sad though, because once he's all snarky and gruff with Dean, but then once they hang up, it's like there's a shot of Bobby sitting all by himself in his chair with this like sullen music playing. Yeah. And it's like
it's like this slow pan out, just to show him like, oh, there he is sitting in his living room library thing. Yeah, poor Bobby.
Bobby. I mean, I don't mean to say that with a smile on my face, but it was just so blatantly like cinematography. This is just to make sure, Bobby.
Yes.
Oh my God.
All right. So then the boys go interview the wife of one of the missing persons on their list, and she's like, "Oh, he's the perfect angel. He comes home after he's working late every Tuesday. Dean smells a rat, and he's like, excuse me," and then sneaks off into his office
to use the bathroom, as he does.
Yeah, and sneaks around and finds a receipt for an hourly motel somewhere nearby, while Sam takes a good look at the photo that she has given him and very pointedly notices the tattoo that this photo shows.
Marine tattoo. Yep.
Yeah. Guess that's going to come into play later.
Dun, dun, dun. So off they go. They find the address at some Golden Palace, rent rooms by the hour motel. They walk down the hall to room number 44, which I looked up is an unlucky number in Asian numerology.
Oh. Yes.
Yes, which is why 44 you'll hear throughout 44 or 44 comes up a lot in this episode. Not a lot, but more than once, I should say. And it's because it's an unlucky number.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Sam and Dean are taking bets on what they're going to find when they open that door. And I'm not quite sure why they thought it was going to be a gooey corpse. But I guess it's because of the Benjamin Button guy. They think that they're going to find another Benjamin Button.
Oh yeah, probably.
Like old, premature old guy. But as they get to the door, they hear moaning and yelling and, bash open the door. And lo and behold, no one's in trouble. There's just a man paying for sex with two women at the same time. And they have that stupid line, well, it's gooey.
Ew. I did not. I missed that.
Yeah. It's like, what do you think we're going to find? A gooey corpse? And it's like, well, he's not a corpse, but he's gooey. Yep. Disgusting.
Oh, wow, I missed that completely. I was more like looking at Sam taking his time with his fancy lockpick kit, like do. I'll take out this piece and then I'm going to match it with this piece.
See, I missed that part. Oh my God. So Sam and Dean at first embarrassed that they've, walked in or burst the door in on somebody having sex until they realize that they're like, oh, sorry, wrong room type of thing. But as they're leaving, Sam notices the tattoo on this guy's arm.
Yes.
And they're like, all right, we need to talk.
Yeah. Yeah. So Cliff bids the ladies adieu.
I have to show you something.
Yeah.
So Cliff, the next time we see him, he's wearing like a little satin robe, right? Satin robe. Stand by.
Oh my God. Do you have it? Oh my God. It's the exact same
one. His has double dragons, I think, on the outside, and mine doesn't have double dragons, but it's the exact freaking robe. Isn't that hysterical?
Oh now, my God.
I have this because I used to live in Asia, not because I was watching Supernatural. But when I saw him put that on, I was like, no.
Oh my God. Oh, I wish I could pull it up. I just want to see. That is hilarious.
Yep. It is a nice robe.
Yeah.
So they're interviewing this young man who is not the old man, but he is the old man. And they're like, how is this possible? How is it? They're like, jig is up, dude. You are this old guy.
Yeah. And he very easily gives up the jig too. Like first he's like, I can't tell you. And they're like, fine, we'll tell your wife. Okay, fine, I'll tell you.
Right. A part of me was like, this is a good looking guy. He doesn't need to be paying for,
yes,
what he was paying for.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess he was only paying for one. One of them was there for free.
Oh, that's right. Buy one, get one.
Okay, so he tells the boys he played like a witchy poker game where the chips equal years. Each one is 25, and he does some chanting, and he came up. So now he's
25 years younger. Yep.
If not 50 years younger. I feel like
it's that was one of my things with this episode is the aging was not the years.
No, he said each chip was 25. So if he won two like I don't think it's like 25 years. You get 25 years because later there's a game that somebody wins 13 years back.
Right.
So whatever chip he was playing with at the time was 25 years. And then I know Dean had to 25. There was a lot of 25 going on. But I don't think it's you either win or lose 25 years. I think it's however much you choose.
The buy-in is 25.
Yes, that's what it was.
We learn. Yeah. So you could bet, I guess, whatever within 25, whatever.
Yeah. So I think he had to have been 50 years younger because judging by the age of the woman, he was probably in his 70s.
But he was still working, so maybe pre-retirement. So maybe.
Maybe.
Who knows? Wow. Tangent. Okay.
All right. So boys call Bobby again. And he's like, oh, no, this is a real thing. There's been lore on it for years. So you should find him.
Yeah. Except that he said, but most people die.
Yeah.
Is what he said. It's like, this is
most
weird.
people lose.
Yeah. Most people who play this game die. So it's weird that there's, that this guy is living.
Yes.
So interesting. All right. So they hang, and once again we're left with a shot of Bobby. So he hangs up the phone with Dean, and next thing we see is it's a lone shot of Bobby, and he reaches for his car keys. And so Bobby is going to go off and do something. I had made a note about the car keys, because this set of car keys, there's at least 2 keys on it. And I was like, oh my gosh, not only are there keys, there's 2 keys. Back in the day when one key would unlock your car, the other key would start your car. I was like, when, those days are gone.
Yeah, there's not even keys anymore. It's like a keys. Button.
Yeah, you don't even have to touch your car. It just opens for you when you look at
Walk by it.
I didn't know this, but I walked by my car at night and the internal lights turned on just because I walked by it.
Wow.
I was like, ah. I didn't know my car did that. Pretty funny. Okay, so
the boys separate to go look for the dive bar that contains this poker game. Dean, after they've been searching for a while, Dean is in one, and he tries to convince the guy with Ben, meaning Benjamin Franklin.
Trying to get the bartender to tell him where.
Which begs the question, how many hundos did they go through trying to look for this bar? Who's to say that the guy just didn't grab the money and say, thanks, but I still don't know where it is.
Still don't know about the poker game. Yep. Nope, it's not their money, so I guess
so, yeah.
Doesn't matter. But he ends up finally convincing this bartender to give him the information. The poker game's out back, down the alley, down the elevator, blah blah blah. So Dean heads out to the alley to go find the elevator, but before he can, boom, he runs into Bobby. And Bobby not looking happy. Shocking. Shocking. So instead of stopping this guy from bewitching people with these poker chips, Bobby played the game and lost 25 years.
Yeah. And starts aging.
And Dean can see him
quickly
aging. And that's not good. I mean, Dean is visibly shocked by seeing Bobby.
Yeah, because Bobby's already, 50, 60 something?
Yeah, I would say late 50s.
Yeah.
I hate it because I keep basing it on me. And I'm like, I am not Bobby Singer's age.
No.
So it's a little hard to judge. But that's also if you look at people from the 80s, look at TV shows from the 80s.
Did you know that the Golden Girls are the same age as the Sex and the City girls? Or I think what they are now, when they started making movies and stuff. Thing. Yeah. So they're 50 something, and they look like grandmas. But then again, I'm thinking about I'm thinking about my own grandmas. Both of them in their 50s looked exactly the same as they did when they were 80. Same hairstyle and clothing and stuff like that. Obviously more wrinkles, but but it's so interesting how at that time period, when you're 50, then you got to start.
You got to start putting your hair in curlers.
Yep.
And yep. Oh no.
I know. So anyway, Bobby is now 25 years older. And Dean is not happy.
No.
That he lost
back into the bar.
Or he witch. Yeah.
Yeah. And finds Patrick, the Irish witch.
A very charming looking man.
Yes, and not smarmy charming.
No, like legitimately, I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, you could convince me to, lose
to
25
lay
years
down some
very
coins.
easily.
Yes.
And he had the, like, he had this, like, toothpick thing going on all the time, right? Chewing it and stuff.
Oral fixation, yes.
But he had, like, do you know what I mean when I say his mouth acting was excellent?
I agree. I understand and agree.
Yeah, okay. There's something very
Absolutely.
pleasing about the way his mouth moves.
Yes. And it didn't hurt to have the Irish,
Oh,
you know,
yes.
and I almost said affectation, but it wasn't an affectation. It was this beautiful drawl almost.
Yes.
Um,
Just a hint of an Irish accent.
yes. So Dean makes it down to the bar, finds the he witch who is currently moving on to the next mark already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a business guy with an attractive younger woman on his arm.
He's like seducing her or them or something. Yeah.
Trying to make the guy feel like he's special
Too
and
old.
sexy and stuff while also playing to the woman. Dean interrupts and is like, excuse me. And Patrick allows himself to be borrowed by Dean, which again, having been, if I was confronted by someone like Dean, I don't know if I would have been like, sure, I'll be right back. Let me go talk to this gentleman over here who, has a gun and clearly upset.
Yes. But as we will soon learn, the gun is for naught. It's not going to do anything to him because he's like, yeah, go ahead. I'll be fine. Dean tries his threatening pattern. It's like, you better give him back his ears or I'm going to shoot you. And charming Patrick is just like, sorry, he played fair and square and he lost them fair and square. You can play me for them back.
Yeah. And Dean finds himself like liking this guy, like despite himself. He's like, God, he likes his demeanor. He likes, the way, the cut of his jib, so to speak, I guess. He's kind of impressed by him. But he agrees to play the witch for Bobby's years. He's like, fine, I'll play.
Yeah.
And you can give Bobby back his years. So he sits down at the poker table with Patrick and Bobby and plays in. He doesn't just play for 25, he plays for 50.
Yeah, his buy-in is 50, and then he immediately cashes in 25 for Bobby.
That go to Bobby, and Bobby immediately goes shoop.
Yes.
Back to youthful, youthful
And just
Bobby.
To note that Patrick, both when he gives the chips to Dean and cashes them in for Bobby, is chanting something over them. Maybe Gaelic. I don't know. It's some
Gaelic. And I think I looked it up, and what really kind of made me sad is every list was a supernatural link. Like you couldn't just look up these words on Google. It was all based on supernatural.
Then it was probably like a made up language or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes shows do that. They just throw in nonsensy words. Or if it is another language, it's words that would not make sense in that language. It's just like, this sounds good.
Yes. I wanted to say, I made a note that when Bobby does get his 25 years back, I thought that transition wasn't just like this, AI, computer generated transition. It looked really good.
It did.
The way they went from like his Bob right before he changed, his old Bobby makeup looked really good.
Yeah, it did.
So I wanted to give a shout out to the makeup. He wasn't just old.
Right. Right. So Bobby's young again. Well, you just wasted 25 years. Now you got to win them back.
Yep. Shuffle up and deal.
Yep. Cut to Sam coming back to the motel with dinner as it was his turn to grab it. Calls for Dean and he exits in a robe as a very old man. He lost.
He lost. And Sam, for a hot second, is like, ready to shoot him. Like, who are you? And Dean's like, it's me.
Yeah. And he's very like kind of nonchalant about it. He's just like, well, I lost.
I lost, and I know I look like who do you say he looked like? The
old lady from Titanic. Is that where he threw that Titanic lady in?
Yeah. And then Sam's like, more like Emperor Palpatine, which I was like, ouch, Sam, that was harsh. But he must have enjoyed that. So this actor who's playing, because it's not Jensen as an old guy. No. They got an old person.
I'm sorry, old guy.
That's okay. And his name is Chad Everett. And he was a TV star in his own right in the 60s and 70s. He played a doctor on a show called Medical Center, so it was like the ER of 69. And so he was a young hunk in his day. So I thought that was kind of interesting. He was pretty spot on for, I would say, 90%.
I would agree with that. Yeah, there was a lot of it. I was like, yeah, that was good, and some of it was felt too out of character.
Yes.
But overall, yes, I think that he did a good job.
Yes. I think so too. Considering, those are some big shoes to fill,
Yes. And especially if you are actually not 30 years old when you're trying to remember how to act 30 years old.
Right. Oh, I just a note just jumped out on my notebook, and I'm like, why do I keep seeing this note? This is going way back, and you can cut this out. But back in the room when they first burst in on that guy having, in the motel, they're looking around the room, and for some reason, why does Jensen pull the covers back and look at this guy's junk?
Mm-hmm.
I know he's looking for the birthmark that his wife, told him about when they were confronting him about, who are you? You are this old guy. But Dean pulls back the sheet and is looking at this guy's. Anyway, I just literally wrote down, Dean checks his junk. Sam checks the wallet. Dean checks the guy's crotch.
Yes.
So doesn't have to be added in there, but that note just kept popping out on me on the page, so I just had to get that out of my head. An image that I don't need.
Yep. I guess it was gotta really, really, really make sure it's the same guy. Because I guess anybody could have a Marine tattoo.
It's true.
And he could have stolen the wallet.
Tattoo. Oof. So looking at now old Dean, here's my question. He lost 25 years to Bobby. Right? So does that mean those 25 years came off of Dean?
I think so.
Because then he lost again, right? So he lost a total of 50.
Yeah.
Okay. If Dean was 30 and he lost 50, he would be 80. This man is not 80 years old. just putting that out there. So I'm like,
he could be.
Age.
He could be. Al Pacino's like 84. He doesn't really kind of look 84. And so is Robert De Niro and William Shatner. When I haven't seen him on TV in a long time, but when he was, like the last time he was on TV, he was also 80. I don't know. It's hard because people age differently.
Okay. I just felt like he was much younger. He's a youthful.
He is a youthful 80.
I was like, yeah. I said, if he's 55, he looks like shit, but he looks great for 80. So
yeah.
So either way, old Dean lost at poker. I have another question. Where did that robe come from? He comes out of a motel bathroom wearing a robe. I'm like, Dean's never worn a robe.
No, unless the motel had them, but motels usually do not have robes for your use. That's more for like a luxury hotel with concierges and amenities. But okay, so Dean's old in a robe, and then Bobby bursts in. I laughed out loud at the scene because I was watching Bobby and old Dean argue, old men argue, and then Sam spoke aloud my thought or put a name to it and said, it's like grumpier old men. I'm fascinated.
Oh my God. Shut up, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was great. I also love like just how hurt for a hot second Sam was like, hey.
Yeah.
Why are you guys mad at me?
Yes, you're the idiots playing with years of your life.
Oh my
So
God.
after they banter, then they're like, okay, how do we fix this? What's going on? Is it the chips? Are they magic? They probably are. So let's go steal some of them and get our years back. And in this scene, there's two dire situations for Dean.
Yes.
One, he's no longer compatible with cheeseburgers. His body will not accept the extra bacon.
He thinks he's having a heart attack.
Yes.
It's just heartburn.
It's just heartburn because his apparently 80-year-old body can't deal with all the fast, greasy food. Two, a hot girl associates him with an adorable grandpa.
Grandpa. Yeah. Yeah. She's like, you're adorable. And he's like, and dangerous. And she's like, oh.
Which brings great joy to both Sam and Bobby.
Let's go. I have a stupid question. And I'm sorry I keep like kind of backtracking, but a stupid question regarding Bobby wanting his years back, or playing for years. He could have been made younger had he won, right? But making him younger wouldn't have gotten him his legs back.
I think that it would have, because what was his name?
Because he was stabbed, right?
He was, but Cliff, the guy who was in the hotel, he, said something like, my bad hip is good again.
Better. My knees are better. Well,
he made a couple of comments that whatever was wrong with his body in his old age reverted back to the state it was when he was
younger.
Let's say 25 or 30.
Okay.
So maybe it's not just years, maybe it also kind of goes back in time a little bit.
Yep. Okay. Okay, well, that was just one of those questions. I was like, would it have fixed the stab wound and the paralysis therefrom? But maybe.
No, and it doesn't explicitly say. Maybe he was just taking that chance. Maybe it will.
Yeah.
Or maybe Patrick said something to him in the game.
Oh, yeah.
He's pretty forthcoming, when he's bantering with his poker players. All right. Here's the scene that I hated. Is it the same scene that you were referring to?
Yep. Bad. I literally wrote bad.
Yeah. Stupid car accident scene. The boys find Patrick. He's crossing the street. Mercedes-Benz convertible runs him over, with enough force to break his neck.
Yep.
The driver gets out of the car, goes to the construction team up ahead to be like, oh my God, help, somebody call for help. He came out of nowhere, bleep, blah, blah. Camera stays on the boys inside of their car, and you hear like footsteps, car opens, car door slams shut, drive away.
Turns over, yep.
And then we see Patrick in the car stealing, he stole it.
The Mercedes, yeah. And he's like honk, honk and waving. And meanwhile, the driver of the car is like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. And all of that just for Sam to be like, gosh, I really do like, Dean to be like, really, I like this guy.
Yeah.
Or, it's like, what?
Yep. Yep.
Dumb.
It was so dumb.
It was.
And it was like, was this like they were missing footage? It just felt so badly edited. It was so badly edited.
That's literally what I wrote down. Bad editing. It was unnecessary, and it was shoehorned in, and even the scene itself was poorly edited. So it was poorly edited in, and it was poorly edited within the scene itself.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't have minded this scene or something like it to show like, oh, Dean has like an affinity for this guy. They're like a similar kind of panache. But why would you keep it in like this?
I also like the fact that, Bobby's driving I mean, assuming that he's a mechanic and he would fix
Yeah.
his own van to make a wheelchair accessible. But the fact that they glossed over that, I thought was pretty funny.
I guess they needed the van to put the wheelchair in.
But I'm like, did nobody notice Bobby's driving?
I didn't. I really didn't. I was more focused on like, this scene is, I fucking hate this scene so much. Who edited this? They should be fired.
Yes. And
or punished somehow. Okay, so they make it to Patrick's luxury hotel. The boys sneak in while Patrick leaves. But unfortunately, the elevator is out, and therefore so is Bobby. So stairs it is. And I'm sorry, but if we're to, it looks like that his room was on the 37th floor, based on the room number, which is 3701. Anybody would be struggling with 37 flights of stairs, not just 80-year-old Dean, who was struggling after the first flight.
Yes.
And I did enjoy the long pause, like when they finally got to the floor. Sam comes out of the door, and it's several beats. Before Dean finally makes it up. But that would also be me.
Well,
that would also be me.
That I live on the third floor walk up. I have to, every time I get to my door, I'm like, before I like can even put the key in the lock.
Yeah.
You know, and I do those stairs like 6 times a day. So they make their way into, they finally get up to the apartment or the hotel, whatever it is. They key in or break in.
Yeah.
This music now is like very old school jazzy.
Yeah, I liked it. I really liked it.
It's not Dean's, right? It's not the Dean and Sam, music. It's like jazzy. And I didn't know if that was meant to be like Dean's new jazzy music or if it's Patrick's. I think it's Dean's.
I think it was. I think it was Dean.
And they're looking around the apartment for where would they hide poker chips. Oh, it's the safe. Let's go to the safe.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Dean can't crack the safe because he can't see the dial very well and he can't hear the clicking of the locks or whatever. And Sam's like, I'll do this. So Sam's able to crack the safe and Dean's a little butthurt about that. And they find the poker chips, and as they're reaching for them, the chick from the bar earlier is like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And they're like, what are you doing? Why are you here?
Yeah. It's like, well, I'm a witch and I'm gonna curse you. Yeah. And does the witchy grab, power grab.
Yep, and starts to choke them with her witchy.
Or whatever it is that happens. They're just like, oh my insides are hurting somehow.
Something's wrong. I'm being gripped. Yeah. And while they're choking, Patrick appears and is like, no, let him go. These guys are harmless, you know. And he's still super, super cool, Patrick. Yeah. And he's like, tell you what, take the chips. The chips are props.
Yes.
The magic has nothing to do with the chips, but more to do with the 900-year-old witch. Meaning I'm the one taking the, yes, that's me. I'm the one who's taken and given the years. The chips have nothing to do with it. And Dean's like, okay, well, let's play again. And Patrick was like, no, you're too old.
Yeah.
When he holds up a playing card and he's like, what card am I holding up? And Dean can't read it because his eyes are so for shit, which I know what that's like. Patrick says, I won't play the old guy, but I'll play you. And Sam says, no.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
But Patrick says, oh, well, let me give you a parting gift. Gives him a little clap.
A little clap, which is the clap. This was also kind of a dumb, it made me roll my eyes. A little bit. There was something about it. Like, I know that they wanted to play Patrick as like a little bit of a trickster. but it just, I don't know, it didn't like play out. It was the clapping was too slow and dramatic. The music wasn't right. It felt
Yeah.
like really dramatic.
It
I
is
don't know.
funny though that
It
Sam
is
is the
funny.
one who keeps getting venereal diseases
He
or,
is, yeah.
itching powder in his pants. It's always
Something
something
to
to
do
do
with his
with his.
crotch.
Yes,
That's going to
indeed.
continue too in the next one.
Oh my.
Right?
So yeah, so the witch gives him the clap. Sam doesn't know it until Dean points it out to him that, hey,
Yeah, you're
your
itchy.
balls itch because, your dick
You got the
itches
clap.
because you got it.
Yeah.
And again, Dean enjoying the witch.
Yes. It's just like that is
Yes.
something I would do.
Yes, I approve.
But also, Sam is also enjoying the fact that Dean is old and is poking fun of his shortcomings.
Yes. Yes. Having a good time with that. Um, so back outside at the motel, we've got Dean, Bobby, and Sam arguing about who's going to play the witch
Yeah.
in poker.
Or if they should play.
Yeah.
Like Sam is like, I can do it. And both of them are like, no, you can't. You suck at poker.
Sounds like
Or
I'm good at poker, but okay.
yeah, yeah.
But and in this moment, Bobby has, a bit of a breakdown.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, admits something that nobody wants to hear, which is Bobby has been feeling so useless and so hopeless that he's thought about killing himself.
Yeah, yeah. His age, his paralysis, and his inability to help like he once could uh has just really made him feel useless. And he's so depressed because of that he even says, if I had the courage, I would have offed myself a long time ago.
Yeah.
And this was like, ooh, like that hit me in the gut. And it's something that I personally don't feel yet, but I've seen other people feel it. It's like an ageism kind of thing in society, and also just what your body can't do anymore.
Yeah. Well, especially when you associate yourself with what you do as opposed with what of who you are. He says, I can't hunt anymore. I'm not a hunter anymore.
Yeah.
And if I'm not a hunter, what am I?
Right.
And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. So then Sam leaves to find a way out of this, or maybe play the game himself. He's going to figure it out. Dean and Bobby enter the motel room and they find Patrick's lady in there, whose name I think was Leah. I didn't catch it until like the very end of my notes.
Okay.
I just kept calling her the lady.
The lady, the chick, as I so callously refer to women.
And she gives them a reversal spell for not just them, but for everybody.
Who's still alive.
Yes. Yes. Who's still alive, including herself.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep, she has
And
her
Patrick.
reasons.
Yeah, because it also would affect Patrick and herself. And she's like, I have my reasons. And she's fingering a locket.
Yes.
A locket around her neck. They're like, all right. She leaves them with the
reversal spell.
The reversal spell. So back in the back room, back in the poker room. Patrick's, yes. Patrick was playing poker with an already old man. But as it turns out, he lets the old man win this hand. And like you said earlier, it's only for like 13 years.
Yeah.
So I think you can break out. You don't have to play just for 25. Yes. You can be like, here's the buy-in, and I bet, $2 of this $25 buy-in.
Yes.
But he lets this guy win a hand that it was not a winning hand.
Yes. Like Patrick obviously had a good hand.
Yeah.
And he, I guess, reverse bluffs, or he folds anyway. And just is like, you know what? Go enjoy your granddaughter's bat mitzvah. Right. You have a good time. And let's call it quits. You're already ahead a few years. So let's
quit
stop.
while you're ahead. Yeah. And
he
it just
does
so happens
it for him, which was like, "Aw, Patrick.
Aw,
that was nice of you."
Yeah. But as it turns out, Sam is there watching.
Yep.
And witnesses this. And Patrick is like, he gets to go. He gets to live long enough now to see his daughter's bar mitzvah. And I was like, ooh, that's a little nugget to hold on to. And Sam's like, well, that's nice. Sits down. Let's play.
Yep.
FYI, did you know that Jared won a
Yes,
poker
I did. Yep. I was
championship?
going to bring it up after
After this, he won it was a celebrity poker tournament, and I don't remember what year it was.
2006.
Wow, good for you. But wow, good for him.
I know.
That's I wish I could see what he won, like how much money he won. But he won the
Right.
tournament, so therefore he won.
He won it.
That's pretty cool.
It is
He must have
cool.
had a good time shooting this episode.
Yeah. I wish I was good at poker.
I'm not. I still have to have the instructions next to me. Like I have to have what the hands are, you know?
Yeah, I have no idea. It's like I don't understand why some hands are better than others. Like some are obvious, but
yes. Yep. No, I do the same thing. I always have to check. So in the meantime, Dean and Bobby are now at a graveyard.
they're gathering all the ingredients of the spell, one of which is a jawbone of a murderous fiend. And poor Dean is stuck digging because Bobby
can't.
Oh, how sad. How sad for Bobby.
Yeah, but Dean's complaining enough for the both of them. So
yes. I really could have watched a whole episode of just like these two old guys arguing about
cranking. Yeah.
About their sciatica and their heartburn and their whatevers.
Their back hurts and their knees hurt. And yes, Dean complaining the whole time. And Bobby enjoying it, but also being like, suck it up, man.
Yeah, you'll be fine. And I also love that Bobby's kind of like the mentor of the aging Bobby, you know?
Yes.
Like he knows exactly. It's like, oh, your butt cheek's tingling, that's sciatica. Oh, your
pain in your chest, that's heartburn.
It's acid.
Yes. Yes. I kind of feel that way with my friends now. I'm like, this is coming. That's right. So Patrick, going back to Patrick tries to get into Sam's head with like big brother, little brother talk.
Kitty table, you're always cautious.
Yeah.
Teasing him. He's not being that mean. He's just teasing. And it's interesting how much this witch knows. Like, is he a mind reader? Can he tell the future? Because there's a few times he just knows things that you wouldn't think he would know. Like the relationship between these two. How does he know that? He's known them for like 5 minutes. You know?
Right. But also maybe just because he's observant and he's been watching their behavior.
Maybe.
But yeah, just trying to get into his head, maybe break his concentration, you know, from poker.
Yep.
They take a break, and Sam very stealthily steals the toothpick that Patrick's been chewing on and runs out back to meet Dean to give him the witch's DNA, because that was something that they needed on the list.
Yes.
So he meets Dean, gives Dean the toothpick, and then goes back inside to keep playing.
Yep. So he keeps playing. Sam and Dean, Bobby and Dean perform the spell, throw in the toothpick, and nothing happens.
Yep.
Because
Dean's like, how do I look? And no, you're still old.
Yeah, because that toothpick was a decoy, because Patrick knew what was going on
the whole time.
Yep. He's angry, and he also does like the witchy power grab because he's like, I don't like cheaters. But then his girlfriend stops him. Leo's like, no. This was me. I gave him the spell. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yep. And it's like, do what anymore? And Patrick is taken aback by this.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, once that bombshell's been dropped, we see Dean again, who not only is he not young, he does the old grab the left arm again. It's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, he did it earlier, like when Sam gave him the toothpick, you know, he's grabbing his arm. There was also a mention, this is part of what I was talking about, Patrick, when they're in his hotel room, when they break into the safe,
Oh, yeah.
Patrick says something about you should have taken care of that ticker better.
That's right. That's right. He did.
So this is like a foreshadowing of what's going to happen with his heart. So Dean had to go back up the 37 flights of stairs into the apartment to look for more DNA.
DNA, hairbrush, toothbrush, anything.
Yes.
But now he's really starting to have the heart attack.
Yes. And then back to Patrick, who is now in a mood playing Sam. There's tension building in the game. Sam bets the pot. Patrick folds. But Sam was bluffing. Good for him. So he actually won this round.
Mm-hmm. But he's like, we're going to keep playing because, your brother's dying. I'm not going to let you leave because tick, tick,
as literal minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. As we speak. So the music is starting to ramp up, right?
Yes.
It's like, it's starting to like, well, the first time I was rewatching this, I was riding my spin bike. And so I'm like,
yeah.
I realized I was like
riding to the
faster. So I was like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. But yeah, so the music is starting to get really intense. And I was leaning into it. I was like, okay.
I know. I'm like sitting there, like leaning in closer. Patrick is like, oh, so when it comes to Dean's life, you'll completely lose control. Good to know. Good to know.
And Patrick deals again, and this time he has 2 4s. Remember, 4 4 unlucky. 4 4 unlucky numbers. 44.
No, I understand, but it would be good luck in this case.
For Sam.
Yes. Who had 4 4s.
Not for Patrick. Because
Patrick had 3 3s.
Patrick deals.
Well, he dealed it, I guess, but
yeah, there's 2 4s. There's 2 4s on the river.
Yes.
Which is unlucky. I'm just saying the numbers are unlucky. It becomes lucky for Sam, but I'm just unlucky for Patrick. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I guess from Patrick's point of view, it would be unlucky. But at the same time, I don't think I don't know if he cares that much. Because well, he does. Wow, we're getting like really off.
Sorry,
Rewind. Okay. Patrick is calling us.
I just thought it was interesting that of all the numbers they could have played down as, 4 of a kind, they used 2 4s on the river. That's all.
Yeah.
So,
I also I'll mention numerology later. I'm not that well versed in it, but the number 40 and 4 comes up so much in this series, not just this episode. And it is a biblical number. There's 4 horsemen, there's 4 points on the cross, bleep, bloop, blop. It's just 4 is whatever an important number. 4, 40, 44.
Yep.
But as Sam is losing control, and he's just like, all in, go, let's go.
Because I need to go. we need to end this. I need to go.
Yeah. And Patrick is like, no. Don't play a suicide hand. Let think this through. Like, this is not the way you want to go. I genuinely think that Patrick is trying to help Sam because he is falling for this. Be like, no, be calm. But Sam won't let it go. He's like, nope, do it. So, and then when Patrick flips over his cards and he's got 2 3s, which makes it 3 of a kind, right? Or no, aces. Sorry. He's got 2 aces. 2 aces.
So it makes
it 3 of a kind.
It's a full house on the river.
I don't know these terms that you're talking about.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
On the river, I have no idea what the fuck that means.
When you're real quick, when you play Texas Hold'em, there's cards that are laid out.
The ones that are in the line, that's the river.
That each of you play against. Yeah,
that's called the river. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So either of you can take those cards, not take, but play those cards within your hand.
Yeah.
And so there's already an ace, which makes it a full house. So
a full house is when you get 3 of a kind and 2 of a kind?
Yep.
Okay. See, here's what I mean about poker. I feel like that would be higher than a 4 of a kind. Like if you have
Right?
two things that are good instead of one
Right.
thing that's good, but
Yep.
what do I know? So anyway,
Yeah.
his hand is good.
It's good.
It's very good.
We see that it's good, and then we cut to Dean, who has collapsed onto the floor,
Yeah.
does like this final exhale.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So we see Dean die with this great hand that Patrick has.
Yeah. And Sam has a really good, like, sad puppy face. And looks at Leah, who's also crying for him. He's just like, "Oh, you're sad. You know, I kind of feel bad for you."
Yeah, for a witch, you guys are kind of nice.
That's what it is. But then he's like, "Yeah, this is unfortunate, but da-da-da, my
I have a
hand
great
is
hand."
better."
So he lays down his 2 4s on the 2 4s that are already down, making it 4 of a kind, which beats a full house. So all 4s lucky or doubly unlucky for Patrick is what I wrote down.
Maybe they cancel each other out. The bad luck cancels each other out. Or maybe 88 is a lucky number.
Oh. In the meantime, Bobby is still yelling into the phone because he called Dean to check on his progress. And Dean stopped talking because he was having a heart attack. So Bobby's still yelling into the phone. And so we see Bobby outside the hotel yelling into the phone. The next thing we see is the hotel doors open and out dances.
Yes, a jubilant Dean.
Jubilant Dean, literally doing a jig.
Yes.
Young Dean.
And a heel click, complete with a heel click.
Yep, jump, click. And thankfully, we get Bobby's, signature line of "Idjit," which all is right with the world.
When Bobby says "Idjit."
Idjit.
I like that Patrick respected Sam's very impressive bluff throughout this whole time, because he a few minutes earlier he's like, "If we had time, I could make you into like a real good player," and now he's like, "Oh, you are a good player," and he gives Dean back his years with pleasure, because he played such a good game.
Yep, he's not trying to like give him the clap or do something witchy in return. He's like, "You won. There you go. Good job." So off Sam goes, and now Patrick and Leah are alone.
Yeah, we got 2 different epilogues. We have Patrick's epilogue and then the boys' epilogue. So
Leah pleads with Patrick to play poker with her, and he doesn't want to, and she's like, I'm done. This I thought I could do this. I can't. And he says, "But you told me you would. You told me this is what you wanted." And she's like, I did, but now I don't. I'm not cut out for it. And she's still touching her locket, and she opens the locket, and there's a picture of a baby, and there's a picture of a very old woman in it. And she says, "I buried my daughter, and this is how she looked." And she's like, "This just isn't right." So meaning she buried her daughter, and her daughter was an old woman.
Yeah.
And she's like, "I'm tired and I miss my family." And Patrick is heartbroken over this. And I think for several reasons. One, that he didn't want to put her through what she's describing. He feels terrible that she misses her family, and that, that this is how she's been feeling. But he also is sad about himself. He's like, what am I going to do? I can't do this without you. And she's like, you did it without me before.
Yeah.
And now, I thought you loved me. I do love you, but I just can't do this anymore. And the both of them are just heartbroken for each other. And it was so sad. It was so sad, but so beautiful at the same time, that he wasn't mad at her. He wasn't saying she was being deceitful and that she's taking something from him. He was just, he recognized what he was losing.
Yeah.
And that he could not deny her. He loved her so much that he could not deny her the chance to take control of her life again.
Yeah. I know. And then they play, she's all in, he has nothing, or she has nothing rather, in her hand. Like he's got like a pair or something, and she's got like,
she's like a 2 and a 3 or something. And he lets her win. Lets her lose. He lets her lose because she lost. And she says, "Thank you." and then she proceeds to age in front of him, and then we're left with him weeping and her aging.
Yeah.
It was just another thing about what we know witches so far is like the rabbit killing, vomit inducing, all this terrible stuff that we've seen about witches. We don't see here.
Yeah.
You know,
I know. I really enjoyed Patrick. I'm really glad they didn't kill him. And I do think that overall, even though he was a witch and he stole a car, you know, he had some like minor.
He was just having fun, you know?
He was.
Yeah.
Not that stealing a car is a good thing or giving someone the clap is a good thing, but he also didn't kill them. You know, he's just like, no, I play fair and square, man.
Right. Right. Exactly. And he explained himself. He wasn't being deceitful. It's like 25 years of your life.
Yeah. These are the rules, and I play by the rules.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I like Patrick.
I do too.
Like Patrick. And I like Leah because she also was a stand-up character.
Yeah.
You know, even though she was in on the grift, you know, it wasn't like they were killing people.
Right.
So to speak.
Yeah. They just anyway. So then the boys are so surprised that Sam is good at poker.
Yeah. And he's like, I just got lucky. Or did they say that, or did he say that? Somebody said he said that. Just kind of, oh, shucks it. I just got lucky.
Luck, I guess. But then he's got to go for a booster shot for his clap.
His gonorrhea. So that leaves Bobby and Dean alone to now discuss what they just went through.
Yep. And have a chick flick moment. Bobby is very uncomfortable, very fast. Dean does not let him leave, though. He's like, nope, we are doing this. We're doing this.
Yep. And
I like this quote that he said, which is, you don't stop being a soldier because you were wounded in battle.
Yep.
And I know he said some other like good touching points about family, and you're pretty much all we have left. So don't even think about leaving us.
Yeah.
But
ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a little changing of the roles there. Even though Dean is younger again, he was the dad, which is, you mean more to us. We're your family.
Yeah.
And you need to talk to us before you even think about what you were thinking about.
Yeah. And it wasn't even just that he was a dad. He was being like his son almost. It's like, you are the closest thing to a father that we have, or the closest thing to family that we have. And we need you. Like, so.
Yeah. I just meant in the wisdom giving, you know, their roles were a little reversed, which is Bobby doesn't have anybody to give him that wisdom.
Yeah.
You know, so it was nice that somebody was saying to him this time, you matter.
Yeah.
You matter to us. Because it's usually Bobby saying, you matter to us, to me.
Yeah. Don't go on these suicide missions and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So are we done feeling our feelings? Got to get out of here before we grow some lady parts, which I actually thought was pretty fitting. I can get behind that little ism.
Really? Because I said like, oh, he ruined it with the lady part dig. I know it's something that Bobby would say. Bobby would say something douchey like that, but because he's an old guy, but
which is why I could accept it. I mean, I usually cringe, but I can kind of like take a step back from my cringe to be like, okay, he's ruining the moment to ruin the moment so they can move on. Yeah. Dean gets the final say with, come on, Ironsides, which is what he referred to him earlier, which is, you know, guy in a wheelchair, which was he a detective? I think there was a TV show where there was a detective who was in a wheelchair and his name was Ironsides. So it was a TV reference. So the episode ends with Bobby sighing.
Yeah, he has a little moment to himself.
Yep. So while he said, I mean, basically, it's not going to be an easy road for Bobby.
No.
You know, he said what he said to get out of the moment. But it doesn't mean like he's like
those feelings are gone now.
Yeah, exactly. So, couple of things about this episode. I had a hard time accepting Dean as old.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they got somebody who looked like him and
Mm-hmm.
somebody who kind of mimicked him, I still had a hard
Mm-hmm.
time with that. It really didn't sit with me for some reason. I just didn't like it. I'm trying to decide if it would have been different if it was actually Jensen as old. Um, but I get why they did it. But I think what it is that he just wasn't fully Dean,
Yeah.
and it stood out to me. So, and this is not me cracking on that performer. It was just I didn't quite wasn't
didn't quite get it. Yeah, he's a little too cartoony, maybe.
Yeah, it was a little too aw shucks and oh poor me, I'm old.
Yeah, it wasn't as gruff as Dean.
Or as pissed off as you would think Dean would be at having. Not only did he lose, but now he's old.
Yeah, and in pain all the time, and he can't eat cheeseburgers.
Yeah. And he does decide to, when they finally does walk out to the car, he decides to not take the cheeseburger with him, which is, the one time that Dean walked away from a cheeseburger.
Yep. I wrote, it's like, this was probably the first time that he threw it away, and probably also the last that he threw it away.
Yes. And once again, I'm starving at the end of the Supernatural episode.
I haven't eaten anything yet today, so I'm like, oh.
God, your head must be pounding.
It is.
So, all right.
All right, so that's the end of the episode. So that's
it for this episode. So a standalone. Oh, wait, I had a note. This is just trivia. Because I have been holding on to this. We already know that the Samulet is off, right? He's not wearing the Samulet right now, or did he get it back?
No, Misha took it, or Cassiel took it.
Misha, another reason. No. But this was the last episode that Dean wears his ring.
Oh.
He always wears that one ring. This is the last time he wears it. They mentioned something about his bracelet, but I've seen him with bracelets in other episodes, like after this. So, but yeah, his ring that he wears, apparently it just got so cut and scarred up and snagged on things that it was literally like every once in a while it would cut him. Yeah. That they were just like, time for Dean to stop opening beers with his ring.
Yeah, I see.
So that's the last time. This is the last episode that we see Dean with his ring. So I knew that at one point they got rid of the Samulet because it
chipped his tooth in
a fight scene or something. Yeah. So so I get it.
Yeah.
Can we not wear this anymore?
No more jewelry.
No more jewelry. But anyway, that was just a little trivia.
Nice. Good trivia.
Anyhow.
Good trivia.
That's it.
That's it for this episode. And again, just to reiterate, I wish there were a little bit more of those heartfelt points. I mean, maybe it was enough, because it is kind of heavy, like the feelings that Bobby was feeling, that depression of feeling useless. But that was kind of the heart of this episode, when they're talking about age, the limitations of your body. When you age, it's going to happen to you no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I think they made fun of it more than they did dig into it.
Yeah.
They could have flip-flopped that,
yeah,
and made it more about Bobby recognizing what Dean's going through, and Dean then being able to see Bobby through his eyes of, it's not just the aches and pains, see Bobby for Bobby and what he's going through. And they didn't hit that. We got when you get to be my age, Dean, you're 30. You're not that age.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely could have been a little bit more. They could have written more sympathy into the boys for seeing Bobby the way he is and what he's going through. They still didn't stop the witch, which I find interesting about this episode. They ended up like falling into a trap and having to dig their way out, and so they lived to fight another day. But the witch, so did the witch.
And then they were like, "Okay, that's enough."
Yeah, so he's still gonna go and he's still gonna keep playing poker and not stealing, but winning years. And which I thought was interesting. Yeah, and we don't see Patrick again, do we?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so, which is a bummer.
Yeah, that could have been interesting to.
We do see many a witch.
Yes,
but not Patrick. Bye, Patrick.
Bye. All right.
He was nice.
He was. He was a good monster. Good monster of the week.
And he won.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
he
did.
loses, but he wins. He didn't burst into flame into a pile of dust.
Totally changing gears here. And we're now on changing channels.
Okay. I definitely know this episode. Yep.
A classic.
Yep. I will say in advance, there's a lot I loved and a lot I hated about this upcoming episode.
I haven't seen it in a long time, so I'm excited to see it again.
Good.
But it's one of those classic meta, supernatural meta episodes that they like to throw in every now and then.
Yeah, it birthed one of my favorite lines, the Nutcracker line.
All right. So that's going to wrap it up for this week for the curious case of Dean Winchester. Case solved. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please feel free to follow us and subscribe to us anywhere that you can find podcasts. If they allow for a rating, we would love a good one.
Stars, thumbs ups.
Yes.
Anything.
Fives or tens, whatever is the highest that they get. You can also find us on social media. We are at Salt and Burn This everywhere. So you can join us there. Yeah, we'll show up when we show up. I'm not going to promise anymore, but often we're going to show up.
Lesson learned.
I know. But hopefully you will still be tuned anyway and be fans because we love doing it.
Keep checking in. We'll be there.
Keep checking in. That's going to do it for this week. We will see you next time for Changing Channels. Bye.
Bye.